Alright guys, we are back with some more MX versus ATV Reflex. Today, this is the scariest track, or tracks I guess, I've ever seen in real life or in game. This first track is, both the tracks are by Wolfram. This first track is Roller Coaster Madness, and this track, I think he made this track first. This was the first track he made. The second one would have came after, which is the super scary track. So the second track was much more difficult. I actually couldn't even get a full lap in without crashing or messing up somehow. So that track is the super scary track. But this one, this is crazy. This is such a psycho track. It really is. This track is insane. And the second one is even more so. So make sure to check that one out. But this track, I played on it for a couple hours. I was just trying to memorize it. And it definitely is shorter. The track itself is shorter than the second track. So it was a bit easier to memorize it. And overall, it was just in general a little bit easier than the second track, but this first run we have here is pretty flawless. Minus that step down, we kind of messed up and jumped off the side of the track. I pretty much was thinking it was over there and we weren't going to be able to finish the lap, but we did. Now, this is the finish here. It's so sketchy because you carry so much speed. Every time I would hit that, sometimes I'd crash on the jump because it's just huge, and sometimes I would just have so much speed that I couldn't slow down and I'd hit one of the signs or the arrows or whatever. So yeah, and this part is just the path you take to scale back up to the top of the mountain or the big hill or whatever to start back over. So you'll see here, this is the jump, we take off, and then I start a new lap because I did mess that one up. So yes, it is a free ride map. It doesn't have a raceable version, which would be crazy because of the way you have to, scale back up to the start. And the second track is very similar, but way more crazy. This track is insane. But I mean, this is actually creative genius by Wolfram. It really is. This is insane. I've never played a track quite like Roller Coaster Madness here, or the second track. I've never played anything quite like it. I know MX Warlord has those crazy big huge jumps, fantasy style tracks that we've played, but they're not the same as this. I mean, those are amazing creative genius as well, but this is just different. The way it crosses over itself over and over again. The jumps are so scary big. You have to... they're just kind of really complicated tracks. I mean, yeah, they're full send, but the sections leading up to it can be really tricky. And then just to memorize where it goes, because sometimes it isn't that easy to tell exactly where you're supposed to go. Now, this track, it was a bit easier, but yeah, again, I said I played on it for a couple hours just trying to memorize it and figure out the bike setup I wanted to have to be able to hit this track, because it is similar in that it has these huge, I mean, this is huge. These huge full sends everywhere. I did almost go down there, and I didn't want to have a crash in the lap, because this is one of the tracks that I actually had memorized and was pretty proud of myself that I was able to do it. I feel like it was a tough track. I feel like getting a good run through something like that isn't that easy. So I just had a marker, a reset spawn point at the top here, and then we just kept doing it over and over and over again until we memorized it. But here we're going to jump over into the absolute scariest track I've ever seen or played, craziest psycho track ever. This is Rampage, and it is insane. So I already said that I couldn't get a full lap in. I kept messing up or having a weird crash somewhere, and I did get it memorized. Like, I knew what was coming up. It was just really tough. So this first part, pretty easy, crazy, but pretty easy. This part here, jumping onto this curve, was nuts. It was so tough. I don't know why. It looks easy there, but I was having trouble, and then I crashed here. even if I landed it perfect, I was still crashing there all the time. And then this section isn't that difficult, but I was over jumping or under jumping, and then I couldn't step on and step off the table. So I feel like here we didn't have to edit in any section. We actually got through this pretty good. Actually, we go quite a ways. I forgot about this. We actually did maybe 33% of the track without crashing. So I feel like, you know, pretty good there. This jump was really easy to over jump and crash. These huge sends, just these huge gaps you have to get through. And then it kind of curves away from me here. I was always jumping off the track and not being able to continue. See, we already got out of control there. Here we have an edit. Tried to make it as nice as possible, but I'm not gonna pretend that we didn't have to reset ourselves there. We get through this. This was pretty easy. I was coming up a bit short on this jump here, jumping over the track. Then we mess up here. We have to put in another edit. We jump back over the track again and then have this huge hill, which does take us to a crazy, the scariest part about the track, this huge drop. Insane. Yes, an actual drop. We did have another edit there. I was having trouble on that, crashing because the landing was so rough. But if you don't hit, I mean, this track is one of those, if you don't hit the first part of whatever section you're on right, you're not going to be able to do the rest of it because you got to have the speed. You got to have the speed, the momentum, and just not be out of control. But the rest of the track isn't too bad. We do have to put one more edit in before we get ourselves back to the top. I do feel like the toughest part of the track we already did get through. This part wasn't tough, but again, if you did mess up, you can't really do any of the rest of it. So yes, one more edit. I over jumped here and I wasn't able to jump down into the bottom. I actually kind of forgot about this part. And then there is a split lane there. I'm not really sure what happens if you take the left side, but we took the right. Feel like it was a bit easier. Almost jumped off the track. I was crossing my fingers. Please stay on the track. And we did. And then we hit some jumps here. And then we hit, basically, it's the same as the other track, where it's just kind of a, it's a track, but it's more just a trail going back up to the top so you can reset and climb the, I don't know what it would be, scaffolding, you know, to get to the top again. Which we do crash because if you do bump any part of this, you do go down. But we get back to the top and you can see where we started. So, yes, crazy, insane, scary, psycho tracks, creative genius by Wolfram. Insane. You've got to play Rampage and Roller Coaster Madness. They're both really good and really tough and definitely take time to learn. So, you guys and girls are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the support on the channel lately. It really does mean a lot. And until the next video, take it easy.